Tim Walz has been accused of having an inappropriate relationship with a student.
According to one of the girls on this trip, Tim Walz regularly made inappropriate comments about their outfits, did multiple other creepy things, including pressed hugs and coming in the room while they changed.
Everybody wants the truth about things, except when it comes to actually getting the truth. See, it depends on whether or not you think the truth that you're coming up with is one that will affect the way you believe, or whether it'll be affecting the way you think your opponent believes. In this situation, we have an incident where things may be hidden from public light. A certain accusation has come forward, a very disturbing one, about one individual by the name of Tim Walz. You may know Tim Walz because he's been in the news as being the vice president nominee of current presidential nominee Kamala Harris. Now, the accusation is on face very, very, when I say disturbing does not really come close to what it actually is. The person that speaks about it says that he was a victim at the age of 14 of Mr. Walz when it comes to sexual indiscretions. Okay, so you have a certain individual here coming telling you that this man, Mr. Walz, took advantage of him when he was 14 years old in his own home, Mr. Walz's home, after taking him to a bar, a gay bar, after a concert. Now, what we don't know is whether or not these accusations are credible, so we'll put that out there. However, the person has said that they have information, and not just information, but proof. If we are going to be a society built on finding truth, then we have to find truth across the board. There are certain people that say they want to get to the bottom of something, but it only comes to the bottom of it if the person you're going after is one you dislike. We here at Too Strong run by one very strong moral compass, and that is the truth. If it's not the truth, we don't want it. And it doesn't matter what's beside your name, behind your name, in your name, or your name. If it's the truth, we're going to speak it. If it's not, we're not. It doesn't matter if you're somebody we've supported before or never supported. It doesn't matter if you're somebody on our side of the aisle or not our side of the aisle. If it's something that affects the populace to the negative and it's true, we are going to speak about it. In this instance, we have a man, whether it's true or not, being accused of something very nefarious. If this individual does indeed have the goods on this supposed accusation, this could be very problematic for the campaign. Not just for the campaign, it will say a lot about our nation if those who are behind them do not want to get to the bottom of it. If you see signs of them trying to silence, coerce people to not speak, or even try to tell people this isn't true, then you might start asking yourself one very important question. Do they really value truth? Because at the end of the day, that's all you have. This incident that took place while he was a teacher is not just about what he would become if he were to become vice president. It's what that would mean for the country if we were to elect somebody who is indeed guilty of that. And if he does get into a position where he is no longer able to be arrested for it, what does that mean? First of all, what does it mean for the victim? Is he going to now have to live with the fact that there's not going to be any consequences to the action that got placed upon him? Or does it mean that there won't be any investigation into this? So he won't even have a chance to get to the bottom of it. Should we try to get to the bottom of it before the election? And if we do get to before the election, does that mean it affects it? All of these questions have to get answered. Now, the question remains this is the biggest one. Should we? Should we try to get to the bottom of it? And for what purpose? In this case, we have only real one recourse, and that is what? Find out from the person who is perpetrating this accusation whether or not they have the proof. It is imperative upon us as a society to find the truth out prior to, because it does affect the way we have to move forward as a country. As for Mr. Walz, whether or not he is going to come forward and say anything about it will also be a tell. Because I've noticed something about guilty people. Having been one myself, we have two options to which we will reply to something that is indeed true about us. We come out fully on the offensive to say, we didn't do it, is not true, blah, blah, blah. And we come out and we almost say too much and prove ourselves to be guilty. Or we take the opposite approach and say nothing. The one approach that the non-guilty person should and always take is the fact that I've not done anything. And if we want to go to discovery, please let us go to discovery and bring forward the information you have. That would be the calmest, most reasonable way to do it if nothing was going on. So far, we're seeing two actions right now up to the guilty. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying, based on what we've seen, it doesn't look good. Now, if this little boy is indeed, he's no longer a little boy, obviously, but if this did happen while he was a minor, this has far reaching implications. One, if the school system knew about it and that was the reason they fired him, why didn't they bring charges against him? In fact, why did they sweep it under the rug as just a disciplinary action or whatever it was that they let him go for? Could it be then that the school system itself is also complicit in this? You see, now there's a far reaching implication into this. If there is more people involved than just him, this could be very problematic. At the center of this, though, there could possibly be a victim. A person who had been through something so traumatic. In his own words, he wasn't even sure what to think about what took place. He wasn't sure whether he was supposed to call himself not straight or straight. He wasn't sure what was happening. He was assured by his perpetrator, at his own words, that this was completely okay. You don't have to worry about it. No one's going to walk in on us. No one's going to care. It's all going to be fine. If, and I cannot emphasize the word if enough, if this is true, this should tell us a lot about what we should and ought to know about people before they even get into public light, before they start representing us. This gives a whole different light on what a background check should involve. Because don't forget, this person was working with children and is now going to be overseeing a lot of things to do with children. The choice at the end of the day is yours, but in this case, it might be out of your wheelhouse to decide. This might be something to go before the courts and actually get to the bottom of. And I do hope, if this child was indeed abused, that we get to the bottom of who it was, whether it was Tim Walz or someone else. If this accusation is a lie, I hope we do get to the bottom of it so that he does not have to carry around this stigma of being a child abuser when it does not rightly fit him. See, for as much as we disagree with his politics, we also don't believe in smearing somebody just because we dislike them. If this is true, this is dangerous territory we're stepping on because he has not been speaking openly about it and no one's talking about it. And if it is not true, we ought to get to the bottom of it regardless. We'll keep an eye on this case as it develops, but from what we can see, this is not just serious. This is vital information that the American population needs to have put before them now, sooner than later. And when we find out more, you'll be the first to know.